is up, everybody? James Jackson here, back again with another video. I'm basically, if you're new to my channel, I do tips and tricks for the film and video making industry. So if you do like the content here, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can stay up to date on all the content going forth. Woo! Okay, yeah, we have to talk about Sony. To say I was disappointed in the I don't even know if I can call it a conference. It's not even a virtual conference. It was really a press release with a series of videos. It's not even, I don't know if I can even call it an actual conference. And that is so disappointing. But that's not what really bothers me. And it's not even the fact that no new cameras were announced. So all the people who are still looking at possibly an A7S III, what a lot of us were maybe thinking was maybe an A7 IV coming. Nothing, not a peep, not an inch. And the fact that Sony actually moved this event 10 days after Canon basically came in and announced that they were going to do their conference immediately after Sony, it basically confirmed my worst fears, which was that Sony had nothing, and they proved today they had nothing. I won't say there wasn't nothing. There's a lot of if you're very interested in virtual reality, IP, computer CG, but the biggest thing camera-wise was firmware updates for the FX9 and the Venice. That's it. That's the only thing camera-related. Major camera related. There's a couple more, like their monitors are cheaper, but that's, in terms of an actual camera body, that's the only news that came out. And now word is going about that Sony is probably not going to be releasing any new cameras in 2020. And that, like I said, I kind of got a sense that this was not a good look because people, you understand, either way, Sony was going to lead the virtual conferences on April 20th when they were originally scheduled. But then Canon came in and was like, we're going to have our own conference and we're going to do it an hour right after you. If Sony was actually having something of value, something that was actually like going to be a really big deal in terms of the prosumer, the alpha line of cameras, or something that, more without, better for ordinary filmmakers. Shout out to ordinary filmmakers. Thank you for joining my live stream earlier today. That was something that everybody's been expecting for, because everybody's been waiting for like a replacement of the A7S II for damn near 5 years. So when they announced that they were moving their date to the 10 days later, I was like, oh yeah, there's no A7S coming. No announcement of an A7S. I knew it immediately, because for a camera that everybody was waiting for, and you knew Canon was going to bring maybe some idea. Even if you didn't know exactly what Canon was going to announce on last Monday, you knew with the R5 of what they did already announce, you knew that that was something that was definitely going to be something that everybody's going to, and probably Canon was going to talk more about, which they did. You don't give Canon the lead. You don't concede and give Canon the lead for an announcement like that. If you had an A7S III in the works and ready, or have some sort of announcement ready. So that's when I was like, that's why I said I knew then and there the A7S III was at least not going to be announced. And I'm becoming more convinced day in and day in that the A7S III is not coming. It's not coming. They've scrapped it. I'm becoming more convinced that they scrapped it, and that they're now going to focus on maybe bringing more video features to the lines like the A7 and the A7R, since their megapixel ranges would match up where the industry is going with higher resolutions above 4K. So, but I was thinking, okay, maybe there is at least something about, even if it wasn't something like an alpha camera, they would at least maybe bring up maybe like the replacement of the FS5 with the rumored FX6. But not even that. And again, from some places that I've heard and talks is that basically Sony, obviously due to what's going on in the world, Sony is basically just giving up on 2020 and basically probably going to be looking like they're waiting to make a splash in 2021. Which, in theory, that would be, that's a very logical reason to do. Except for the fact that now that Sony is pretty much, in a way, conceding the lane for this year, it leaves the door open for Canon to basically have a field day for this year. Maybe the competition is going to be a lot stiffer come next year, and that's definitely true. Which also kind of explains why, even though Canon is kind of still hinting that there may possibly be a delay with the R5 and the R6, obviously for development reasons, but they also seem to be very aggressive in trying to get it out this year. And it's becoming more clear, there's nobody, unless Panasonic, whose conference is coming up in a week, a little bit less than a week from now, or actually I think it's a week from now. Panasonic is going to have their press conference. But unless Panasonic comes with something that can really, really maybe halt the interest of the R5 and the R6, which I think is going to get eventually going to get a lot more popular than even the R5. Unless Panasonic does something like that, maybe something with like a GH6 announcement, very possible. But I still think those are two different categories. Again, we'll get to Canon in a bit. The point I'm trying to make is the lane is wide open for Canon. And I'll get to Canon in terms of that near the end of the video. I want to stick with Sony. I wonder why in the world would you waste these 10 days? If you go to the website, it's literally like, first of all, it's just it's just a web page and a series of videos talking about the different things with the firmware, again, the firmware being the big camera thing, and then a couple other areas in their broadcast lines. And at the end, I'm like, this is something that could have been sent in an email. This is something that could have been, you could have released at any time. Why did you make it such a big deal like this was going to be a conference? And at the end of it all, you ended up making it just, here's a webpage, here's some videos, check it out. And we're all left going, wait, what? And that's it? I'm sorry, people. Sony completely shat the bed, in my opinion. They shat the bed with this. Now, does this mean Sony's dead, Sony's underwater, Sony's trouble? Because everybody loves drama and loves hype, and I get it. But no, absolutely not. I don't believe Sony is in trouble. Why would Sony be in trouble? Outside of Canon, Red, and Ari, almost everybody else buys and uses their sensors for their cameras. Sony's got a whole market in monitors, and they got their alpha, not just their alpha line, but their E-mount line of lenses are set throughout a whole bunch of areas. They control, basically dominate the broadcasts market in Europe. Why would Sony's not in trouble by any means, but they had to. To me, the reason why I'm saying they're not necessarily in trouble, but they need to be put on high alert ASAP by their customers, by their consumers. And the reason why is, look, say what you want about Canon. Canon slowly leaked out information. They gave us some information that, first of all, to confirm a lot of our suspicion from these rumors. Right now, outside of the one conversation with, I guess it was the CEO of Sony, outside of the one conversation that we heard where it's like, when people see this camera, we want to blow past all their expectations. Outside of that one conversation, Sony hasn't really given any inkling that the A7S III is actually coming. They haven't talked about it once. Not a development announcement, not saying, like, not even, like, what I would even have taken at this point, I would have even taken just like a 15-second video of just an A7S III or even an A7 IV spinning around and just showing the alpha line signal and like A7 IV, doosh, done. At least give us some idea that you have some sort of alpha line camera that can respond to what Canon is coming with. And they couldn't even do that. That should tell you just how far behind in terms of a development Sony actually is. Because they can't even give any inkling that an alpha camera is coming to compete with the R5 and the R6. Nothing. And that's what's most disappointing. No teaser, no announcement, no development. It's just firmware. And even forget the alpha line for a second. Even their new FX series of cameras, the FX9, nothing to replace the FS5, which like those FS lines are really dated with really dated sensors. But again, nothing. No inkling of understanding where Sony is going, except it seems like they're going really heavy, at least right now, into IP, cloud, and virtual reality type of business. But in terms of like the more prosumer, small professional, small body, mirrorless cameras, there's nothing really to be excited about. So again, very, very disappointed with this, with today's, again, I can't call it conference, I guess announcement, Sony's press announcement, I guess that's what I'll call it. So leaves me to Canon. As of now, Blackmagic basically is focusing more on their broadcast and A10 Mini, which in a way makes smart. It makes sense because obviously in our situations where a lot of us are stuck inside, the A10 Mini Pro was a really, really great decision to go with. And I'm happy, and as somebody who's a happy customer with the A10 Mini Pro, I think it was really smart for them to do that. However, they did concede, at least in terms of new cameras and things to be excited about in the camera market, they conceded it. They didn't come with anything. Sony, based on what the chatter is, Sony's not coming with any new cameras this year. And by the way, if you, at this point, if you are hearing a rumor that, oh, they're going to be releasing a camera in June, nonsense. Nonsense. First of all, if they can't even give a development announcement saying we are making this at this point, there is no way in hell they're going to release a camera in June. So, and at least for the time being, it doesn't look like they're going to be doing anything in 2020. They're coming in 2021. We'll see what Panasonic does, but honestly, I don't see the S1H just got the ProRes RAW update. I really hope that's not the only thing that they decide to announce with this this press conference next week. I really hope that there may be something else on the horizon. What if it's a GH6? My personal guess is because it's more on the lines of their it's more aligned their pro video broadcast line. If I was to take a guess what Panasonic is going to sort of announce, it's probably going to be an EVA 2. If I have to take a guess, an EVA 2 is probably the most likely of some sort of second generation of the EVA 1 is going to be announced next week. But again, I don't know. But at the end of the day, the point I'm trying to make is if Panasonic doesn't come with something to answer the R5 or the R6, again, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. But I would say Panasonic is definitely in trouble because think about this, people. Canon, look, Canon, of all these people in this camera Game of Thrones, Canon has played the game well. When they entered the mirrorless market, yes, they put out subpar bodies, but they came with it with the glass. And at the end of the day, the success of a lineup or a success of a series of lines depends on the ecosystem of that camera line. In the case of the RF line, they came out swinging with glass. And I was saying this over a year ago. With the glass that they have out right now, literally all Canon has to do to really make this line become explosively popular is drop one body. That may be the R5. It may be the R6. We have two really great contenders to really make people locked into the RF system. And even if you're not fully committed to the RF system, they have the best segue to the EF system, which leads you into their cinema line of cameras. So the ecosystem still works smoothly, and with that ND adapter, you can actually get built-in NDs where you don't have to worry about switching anything. Combine that with all the other features the R5 and the R6 is coming with, this ecosystem looks to be very, very solid. And if Canon does not have a competitor to compete with for this year, they can really galvanize a lot of consumers and basically take control over this market. And even though they may only be able to put out a limited amount of supplies, they could at least keep the hype train rolling, even with those limited amount of supplies, that when they get new numbers coming in, that people will start flooding the orders. And then all of a sudden, we got a new serious competitor in this market. However, if I was part of Canon, I would really, really cautious this one thing. You have a grand opportunity, Canon, to take the camera Iron Throne. However, don't try to rush these cameras, the R5 or the R6. Do not try to rush these cameras out to market because the market is open. You have a chance to redeem your reputation in this small body mirrorless market, and you clearly see you're trying to aim to, deflect or move away from a lot of the things people associated, the cripple hammer. If the camera's not ready for prime time, don't let it come out. I believe that's what you guys are going to do, but I would just stress Canon very cautiously. If the camera is not ready for prime time, even if it means you have to concede to next year, it's better to do that than to put out a camera that is going to leave a bad taste in people's mouths. You get a shot at it, but you should make sure it's the wise shot. But if everything goes as Canon is basically looking at it, if they are able to get some of these cameras out, or at least the R5 out in July, and everything is as they present it and as expected, we may have a new ruler in the mirrorless market for years. For years. I know a lot of people have talked about 8K and talked about it's not necessary. I made a whole video about reasons why you may use 8K, but you got to be prepared for it. But that's, in terms of this video here, that's not really the point. The point is, it's there. It's there, and Canon now has a means to basically keep a sustained product for years, because nobody, at least as of right now from what we're seeing, nobody is able to match that. The features that they're looking at putting in this camera. And this is something that they can hold on for years. This is something that is going to be in the market and be a solid contender in the market for years. Maybe 2 generations of Sonys, maybe 3 generations of Sonys. 2 generations that potentially can be 2 generations of Panasonic's or Blackmagic cameras. That's how good this camera could potentially be. The R5, that is. But it all depends about how Canon rolls this out. So these are my thoughts Let me know what you guys think of it. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel again. You know, every single subscription, every single like helps me boost this channel. Thank you guys for all your continued support. But until next time, take care, everyone.